content.
Bonus.
Woohoo. Welcome everybody to a special video edition of Apathetic Enthusiasm,
I didn't,
the review show. We should make this a thing.
I didn't do
We
my
don't.
hair, man.
I
You
neither
didn't
did I.
either.
I didn't. No.
I wanted-
Actually, I put a lot of time and effort into this. Actually, you gotta get that high mirror shine. It's an important thing when you're doing video. So
that's right. Genetics takes a long time to ensure your baldness.
the DNA has to pass on in just the right sort of way. Well, welcome everyone. We used to do a lot of movie reviews in the weekly episodes, podcast episodes, Apathetic Enthusiasm. We're moving away from that a little bit, but when big movies come out, we still want to talk about them. So we've thrown this video together for you guys to hear our thoughts on the new film from Marvel Studios, Doctor Strange. Brandon, you saw this yesterday in IMAX 3D.
Yeah.
How was your trip to the theater?
It's the only way that you should see this movie. Literally,
Definitely.
the only way, Travis.
Definitely not the way I saw it, which was in normal D, 2D, and like the screen like wasn't dark enough, so it almost like I don't know, it wasn't the best way to see it. But I got to see it nonetheless.
I mean, this is starting our feature of movie theater reviews. Not movie reviews, but movie theater.
Let's not worry about Doctor Strange. Let's talk about theaters themselves and the experience when you go in.
No.
How was the popcorn?
Now
at the theater?
here's my issue with the Dole Plantation Theater,
Dole Cannery.
Dole Cannery,
Dole Cannery.
not the Plantation. Here's my problem: is the lines are just so long to get snacks in this place, and I can never figure out why. I think part of it is because they don't give the customer control of the butter machine. They actually do the butter themselves, right? And so they're like layering it, which is good. But it just takes so much time.
It takes so much time. I understand. Now with
three
the
stars.
Twin Creeks. Seriously, you guys. The Twin Creeks cinemas. I love the theater. It's very close to my house. They feature Dream Lounger seating in every theater. So
Dream
all
Lounger, come rescue me.
all of the seats are like these reclining love seats,
Yeah.
And it's all assigned seating, so you pick your seats out before you can get to the theater, like not super early. It's all good. The one issue with those seats is when I went to see the Killing Joke, the animated feature, I got my assigned seat. I went into the theater. I got there early, and there was only one other person in the theater, and it was the guy that was sharing that love seat with me, like. And it was assigned seating, so I had to go sit in that seat. So I walk into a theater with only one person in it and sit down right next to them. And I was like, so this isn't awkward. What's up? And then I watched that terrible animated film.
You're such a rule guy. Like there's nobody else in the theater and you're like, I have to sit here. It says it on my ticket.
But I was there like 30 minutes early, so I knew that more people were going to show up and come and sit in their seats.
So people actually did show up.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty packed house by the time that the theater. It just happened that we too were the first people to get there and had seats right next to each other. Anyway, let's move on from the theater talk.
I want to talk about assigned seating real quick.
Okay,
I need to before we get into Doctor Strange. So, and this actually relates. Chelsea, I, and my son, Chelsea, me, and whatever. The three of us.
Chelsea, my son, and I.
Yeah, sure. We went to see Aliens in the theater, and it was assigned seating, right? And Chelsea picked out the assigned seating. Well, she looked at the little assigned seating chart incorrectly, and she put us close to the screen. So we go in the theater, and we're like, holy crap, we are so close. And she's like, there's so much space, we should just move. I was like, we can move. I have no problem moving, but we need to wait until the attendants are gone and the movie starts, right?
Okay.
So she's pushing, and she pushes us. She's like, let's just move. I'm like, okay, let's move. So we move before the attendants are gone, before the movie starts, before everyone's in there. Sure enough, like, excuse me, what are these your seats? I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like, okay, well, you need to move back. It's like, okay. When the movie starts and there's still empty seats, can we move? She's like, oh yeah, I don't mind that at all. I'm like, okay, great. Anyway, so we go see
Prove my point. Thank you.
So we go see Doctor Strange yesterday, and I pick the seats in the back. Well, not in the back, in the middle where you need to. And she's like, I'm not good at picking seats. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Fandango shows you where the screen is
Yeah.
on the thing, so that always helps me out.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right.
Doctor Strange.
So, Doctor Strange, you went and saw this. Latest film from Marvel Studios, still in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, but taking a little bit of a step aside, where we're not really dealing with any of the major characters we've had in any of the previous films. All the events of Civil War are kind of in the background. It's not really mentioned. We pick up with a new character, Dr. Stephen Strange, and it's an origin story for this character in the MCU. Have you previously been a fan of Doctor Strange, read any of the comics or anything like that before going into this film?
No, I didn't know much about him. I just knew that he was Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Basically.
I considered picking up the new run of Doctor Strange when I knew that the movie was coming out, just kind of to get on board with that, but it just didn't strike me as the type of thing I was that interested in. I knew it dealt with a lot of more like magic and mystical type spiritual stuff, and the interdimensional travel and things like that. I was like, all right, I understand that. I know that's appealing to some people. It's just not what I'm interested in picking up off the shelf right now.
Yeah.
And it was something that, honestly, when watching the trailers, I knew that the movie was going to be visually really interesting, but I was really curious about the depth of these multiple realities and dimensions, because it worried me about how much I was going to like the film. Rick and Morty, we talk about that show all the time.
As you wear a shirt. You're wearing a shirt.
Yep, that's right. Represent. But in that show, Rick and Morty travel through all sorts of parallel dimensions, all sorts of realities, to a point where the like reality that they start the show in loses its essential value, right? It's just one of millions of possible realities and possible, truths or whatever.
Yeah.
If that was going to be the case with this movie, I was going to have a really hard time with it, because we've built a decade of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that all tie together in this core universe, and then for them to be like, oh, that's just one of many different aspects, I would have been like, nah, I don't dig that. But that's not. I don't feel like that's what they did with this movie.
Yeah. Well, the comparison with Rick and Morty is interesting, because even though in Rick and Morty they're going through all these different alternate dimensions, whatever, you're still focusing on Rick and Morty from C-137 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Right.
So there's still ties to that main Earth a little bit. That main,
even if they turned everyone into glip glops or whatever, and then
Cronenberg
left.
Cronenberg, Rick. The whole world of Cronenbergs. Anyway, yeah, no, I really liked the movie. I was excited to go see it just because of the visuals. I didn't know that much about Doctor Strange. I looked up a little bit ahead of time, and I was like, okay, all right, well, let's see how this actually looks. And then I interviewed a doctor over in Ireland for Submitting for Your Approval, and she was like, oh yeah, I saw it last week. Now imagine she has an Irish accent when she says that.
Okay.
And then she made fun of me because she was able to see it first because she was in Ireland, and I was not.
Us Americans getting a back seat to the to the Europeans.
She's like, usually you guys get everything early, but we got this time. Anyway.
Yeah, and that was the case with like that's been a couple Marvel films, and I think they're getting like Star Wars movies before us now too. So what up, Disney? What's going on?
But she's like, yeah, the movie is just, it's visually stunning. Like, it's just so good looking. And so I was like, all right, like I'm all in. I'm all in. This is a movie I need to see in IMAX 3D. And so I did, and I was not let down. It's so it's like an MC Escher drawing in like,
yeah.
It's like they remade that Labyrinth scene, the scene from Labyrinth where like they're like walking up the steps and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But made it for a new world.
Those visuals in the mirror dimension, this dimension that's sort of parallel to our Earth, where the things you do there don't necessarily have repercussions in the real world. I like that aspect. I like that you could do all those really visually interesting things, and it made sense that people were still walking around on the street and cars were driving without being affected by it.
Yeah.
It was during one particular scene in that mirror dimension where they're like flying through and cities are folding on themselves, where I thought to myself, man, I should have bought the 3D tickets for this. Like, I bet this looks really cool in 3D. And I'm thinking about going back later this week and checking it out in 3D for that reason. Story-wise and writing-wise, we'll make another Rick and Morty connection. Dan Harmon was brought on board to kind of punch up some of the jokes and some of the story here. What did you think about the story itself and the comedy?
The story itself is, it's standard Marvel story, I think.
Yeah, it's here's how Doctor Strange becomes Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and so here, there, whatever. I'm okay with whatever. But the finale, I could feel the Dan Harmon Rick and Morty influence in the finale, and we won't spoil anything here, but the way Doctor Strange defeats the main bad guy it feels exactly like something Rick would do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And so I was like laughing in the theater at that because I knew what was happening because somebody on Facebook spoiled it. Thanks. They're like,
not us, not here,
not us. Jake, wasn't us. But overall, I liked the movie. I thought it was a good movie. I would love to see it again, actually, in IMAX because it's that good looking. Overall, what would you give it, Travis?
I'd give this movie like probably a 9. And maybe it's because I had low expectations going into it, but there was never a point in the film where I felt like it dragged. The pacing was good throughout. The story always moved along. I mean, it was a 2-hour movie, and I never felt like, I was sitting through something. It just, everything kept moving pretty quickly. I liked the Doctor Strange character. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did a really good job. I'm glad that my wife's doppelganger can finally be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What's her name?
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the film. Never forget. Yeah, I saw like a splash screen on Netflix for Mean Girls right after I got home from seeing this movie, and I was like, Rachel McAdams has come a long way. Like, she's a very broad spectrum of roles that she's been in. But yeah, I think it was all good. I like that they tied in a few key things back to the main story of the Infinity Gems story arc. And did you catch when he was driving? This is my little bit of trivia that I thought was really cool. When he was driving and he was getting where they were talking about the potential patients for him, and they're like, yeah, we got this Air Force lieutenant colonel. He broke his back using some sort of experimental like robotic armor or something. And I was like, War Machine. This is a direct reference to what happened in Civil War. So that's just one of a couple. There's also like a landscape shot where they show Avengers Tower being in the city and stuff like that. Yeah. So some cool little just nods to the rest of the storyline. And overall, I really liked it. What about you? Overall grade for the film?
Overall, I would give it an 8.5.
8.5. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
8.5.
Still trending positive. So.
it's still, all right. It's still not my favorite. I mean, I'm still gonna go with Ant-Man.
Hey, I mean, Ant-Man's your guy for sure. So, all right. Well, we love the film. Hopefully, you got a chance to see it this weekend. I think it's already racked up like $8.5 million or something, or $85 million. So good for you guys. If you like the film, we'd love to hear your comments. If you completely disagree with us, also let us know your comments. And we should do a few more of these movie reviews coming up. We got Rogue One later this year. So, all right, guys. That's it for us. You can check out this and a whole lot more on our website, apatheticenthusiasm.com. If you like this video, please subscribe, give it a like, and until next time, Brandon will be eating his microphone. So I'm Travis.
I'm Brandon.
All right, thanks for watching.
Bye.